Peace. Hope. I pray God I'm able to speak my mind. Can't hear me. I pray God I'm able to speak my mind and get what's in my inner self to come out as the best way as possible. Like I say all the time, I don't always express myself like the way I desire, um, based off the spiritual uh, movements that goes on within me, within my inner self. Right, a lot of times I come on here, I talk about different things, man. Talk about spiritual warfare, right? I like to bring certain perspectives. Um, I'm constantly pushing out there to most Bible believers are indoctrinated. I have my reasons of why I say that. And there's several reasons, and it has a lot to do with Ephesians 6 and 12, going to when it states that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, and it points out this fight. So when it's pointing out wrestling, so obviously this is a versus. This is a struggle. This is a fight. So it's saying like even though we are fighting carnal things, right? We're fighting, trying to restrain ourselves from eating the wrong things, right? That's a carnal thing. That's something physical, right? But it's highlighting it is it's spiritual first before it's physical, right? Right. So I don't care what you do, even when it comes to altercation, verbal altercations, certain insults, right? Certain um physical combat, right? All of it is spiritual first. Even when you're going back to Cain, right? And I have said this. I've said this. I said, what is the Bible truly hitting at, and what is it really alluding to? Because it's not specifying. It's not specifying of what we are figuring out of what's going on in real time. In real time, we figuring out a lot. Now, I have said that I believe jealousy and envy, it is the cause, the root cause of all evil workings. I don't believe it's money. Now, am I speaking necessarily against the text in the New Testament when it says money is the rule of all evil? Not per se, because there's something about the King James Version Bible translation that I keep encouraging people is to read. Let your Bible be your foundation, but read as much translations as you can. Do not just read one translation of the Bible. The Bible, there is some codes in the Bible. There are some things that's not clear in the Bible. There are some things that appears as contradictions in the Bible. And I believe all of this is spiritual warfare. Now, now I use an example about Cain. When you think about it, as soon like we're talking about the firstborn son ever to be living on the earth ever, the firstborn son Cain ever, right? Shortly afterward, end up becoming jealous and envious of his younger brother and killed him, unalived him, right? So even when it comes to the fallen ones, the angelic children of the Almighty, the invisible children of the Almighty from the celestial realm. When you read in extra biblical records, what did Lucifer, or allegedly, because we do not know, but let's assume this is Lucifer, because I think it is, right? Lucifer told Adam that he was envy and jealous over Adam. This had nothing to do with money, nothing to do with anything tangible. It had everything to do with The the favor the Almighty, the Creator, the great I am had for man. This is what this had to deal with, right? So, yes, according to my discernment, my speculation, my perspective, my spirit, I believe envy and jealousy is the root of all evil. It's the cause of what we all are dealing with, right? I think envy and jealousy has to deal with stealing, murder, adultery, you name it, right? Spiritual warfare, right? Spiritual warfare. Let's go a little deeper, right? I use these examples all the time. I said, I said what? There's two things, right? One thing. Let's look at when Lot, when the Most High turns Lot wife into stone, right? Why would the Most High turn Lot wife into stone? There's something mysterious about this judgment, right? And the way the Most High is judging certain things. Some can speculate and think, well, he did it for a sign, as a memorial of what not to do, and to listen to okay, fair enough. But I think it's more something to it. I don't think it's just that simple, right? Why did the Most High cause women, and I believe men too? I don't believe he just caused women to turn into mermaids, unless there has been an ancient thing going on when it came to these women being turned into sirens, and then them having the ability through their wicked practices to turn men also into mermen. I don't know, right? But why did the Most High allow or cause these women and turn them to mermaids? And a lot of these, as they would call these beings that dwell in the water, right? That still exist today. Why is it? What is going on spiritually, right? A lot of indoctrined Hebrews and Christians and you name it, right? They, I keep telling people, man. I keep telling people, prove what you know. But ain't nothing wrong with sharing your perspective and your theories on certain matters. In fact, this is how we have breakthroughs when it comes to certain things that we create, right? This is why I tell people, a lot of religious folks think it's something that's wrong, like it's unlawful to splice things. It is not unlawful to splice things. It depends on what you're splicing and what is the agenda, because we are the gods of the earth, the creators of the earth. Now, the Bible doesn't necessarily specify what I'm saying, and this is how indoctrinated people are, right? Spiritual warfare. So, what is going on spiritually when it comes to the sirens? And what is the end goal? What is the purpose of having these sirens yet still on earth? These things have a purpose. If they're not already, a lot of us are not informing ourselves with a lot of these spiritual things that's going on. Not just, bro, when I say spiritual, all right, let me point this out. Let me point this out. I remember the wise man once said in Chicago, right? He said, to everything physical, there is a spirit. And I honestly believe that, right? If we're dealing with worms and parasites in our vessels, right? These are not just physical worms and pests. These are spirits that are attached to us, right? Real talk, right? So, with a lot of these, rather demonic beings or judgments that the Most High, because when you read in Enoch, if he calls the woman to be turned into a siren. What else? What else did the Most High, like, this is just, we are getting a fraction of what has always been going on since the beginning when it comes to Adam and Eve. And since before Adam and Eve was ever created, we are getting a fraction. And many Hebrews and Christians are, but check this out. You have many people are waking up outside of their original program. I don't care if you're Hebrew or Christian. You got a lot of Christians that are discerning in a lot of wise things. Hebrews as well. It's just a small minute of us though. Keep telling people, man, not everything is attained in the Bible. There's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of deception. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the King James Version Bible. And I keep saying, I'm not saying don't read the Bible. Nah, because I think the Most High have it that way, perfectly that way, right? Because when you go into the Apocrypha, he told Ezra what? He told Ezra, this information that I give to you to write down, give this to everybody. But this information that I give to you to write down, hide this and only reveal this to the wise. He kind of did the same thing to Enoch. When you go read in Enoch, Enoch gave his children all this information that the Most High showed Enoch, right? He told his children, he says, write this down and give this to whoever desire it. And also in Enoch, you know what he told, or the Most High told Enoch, I believe, he told him, he told him to go share and show mankind all what I have revealed to you, right? Right? But you got a lot of Christians stuck up on the gospel, not knowing that Christ and Paul and other Peter and them spoke, and Jude, right? Spoke on what? Spoke on a lot of deep, mysterious things that you only read in fractions. But when you go to Enoch, Enoch goes into more detail. When you go into Jasher, Jasher goes more into detail. When you go into Josephus, Josephus go more into detail. You see what I'm saying? But even in these other records, we're only receiving a fraction. These are books public to us, right, that we can easily get our hands on, right? Like the Apocalypse of Paul, which is challenging to get to some degree, right? Right? So if these records that they make challenging for us to get our hands on, or they do not have in mainstream churches, so on and so forth, then what other? Okay, okay. My phone got hot. I'm in Arizona. It is hot outside. So I'm gonna try to finish my thought. I'm trying to finish my thoughts. But let me, Lord, I hope, I hope y'all can hear me. Right? What was I? Where I leave off at? I said, where did I leave off at when it comes to these records? Right? I gotta be quiet because I'm in the store. When it comes to these records, and when it comes to spiritual warfare, right? Spiritual warfare. You know, a lot of people are not thinking about um a lot of key things that's mentioned in, biblically. You know what I'm saying? Like uh, Lot's wife. You know, and then what they call folklore. Now, isn't it interesting when you go into sirens and throughout a lot of these, uh, what would you call it? A lot of these empires, these past empires, right? They have reserved a lot of the legends concerning sirens, right? Okay. but they claim it as folklore. This is what these are their claims. You see what I'm saying? Um, 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 if you know anything about uh, uh, like CERN, when they claim CERN, they shut it down or what have you. Right now, biblically, you read nothing of the such. You see, so what is going on with the devices? I mean, the Bible do goes into the devices. They're wicked devices, so it does goes into that. However, it do not specify. You know what I'm saying? Or what they will be using these things for per se. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. Um, there's something mysteriously going on uh, when it comes to the spiritual war and how it works. Like the conversations about reincarnations, right? Which I never used to believe, but now I'm considering this to be a phenomenon. But the phenomenon is not necessarily understood properly. Um, you know what I mean? Um, I believe more so, like I said before, that a brother broke down that reincarnation is more so uh, it's a spiritual attack more so. And there's other perspectives, others opinions about it that I disagree with. I more so lean towards um, it being a way of these fallen ones tampering and disrupting the natural way of the physical and the spiritual realm in the way the Most High set it up. So when one died and there began to go through that process, they figured out a way to disrupt it, and it probably been that way for hundreds, if not thousands, of years, right? And this is why you have different opinions and perspective on reincarnation. And I spoke on before other things concerning spiritual things and phenomenons and warfare and stuff like that. I always bring up deja vu for people that experience deja vu. A lot of people don't, you know what I'm saying? Like in my personal opinion, I think deja vu is 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 a part of the Most High, in my opinion. Or it could not be. It could be like some form like they show in the Matrix, where it could have something to do with the dark forces as well. I can consider that to some degree, even though I'm more so leaning on that. Now I think it's more so holy and divine. I believe when you, or at least for me, when I have deja vu, that it's the Most High showing me uh, I'm where I'm supposed to be. That's just my belief until I have a change of heart. But again, these are specific things that's happening to many people that the Bible is not specifying. The Bible only tell you about uh, we wrestle against high principle spiritual wickedness in high places, right? So on and so forth, right? So so let me go back to this. Let me go back to this. Let's go back to Lot, right? I told people before, I'm gonna keep talking about the same thing over and over for the most part, right? When you go back to Lot's wife, how the Most High turned her into stone. Yet you have folklore, right? You got folklore speaking of because this goes out to people that don't believe these type of things occurred in time past. Like they were like, man, that stuff ain't real. This, you know what I'm saying? Right? I believe that Lot's wife was turned to stone. And like I said before, I said this is the only biblical text that verifies the capability of a biological being able to be turned into stone. Hence, this is where you get the folklore stories about trolls, alleged trolls. You remember the Netflix movie Trolls, right? And then a so-called movie that was filmed as like a documentary, not a documentary, but more like an investigation or something like that about trolls and a man that was hired by the government to uh, 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 to make sure trolls were in there, were not getting too close to, you know, the public, right? So these things ain't far fetched. Yet, why is it thus? Why is these things like happening in real time? Like when we go into Sasquatch, right? When we talk about Bigfoot, right? There's nothing biblically that's helping us to understand that. And that's why I keep saying there's something deep going on about spiritual warfare and about the high deception. I keep telling people there's a high degree of deception beyond our comprehension. And a lot of Hebrews think just because you know you Hebrew and then you know what I mean, you have some lineage and blah blah blah, you really think you woke up to something. Negative. Negative. Yeah, that's a level. That's a level. Appreciate whoever just described. Much love. Appreciate that. You got a question? Famous bucket? Sure, ask a question. Hopefully I can answer it or give an opinion or perspective. But if you got a question, ask it. Yeah, Lord willing, I can answer it. I don't know. But I believe in a lot of these folklore, and it's not fairy tale. And this is what crazy. This is why I say, man, I'm not dealing with religion no more, right? Now I don't like when I say I'm not dealing with religion. It, I believe there's something true to some degree about these religions, but I also believe it's deception in all religion. Like there's deceptions biblically, right? And I keep telling people, right? One, if Jesus is not the name of Christ, right? If that's the case, then the Bible been tampered with. If that's not the case, right? And if that's the case, you know what I mean? How can you can't be mad at certain people that don't want to deal with it? But that's going to be their fault if they're not genuinely seeking to understand things. That's their fault for the most part. And then also, then also, right? Also, you have the term Easter in the Bible. Like I said before, now you know Easter is a fallen deity, a pagan deity, a fallen deity, right? Right? That is written of in the scriptures in replace of the word Passover. So showing you there, Bible tampering. That's what it's showing you. That's what it's showing you right there, right? So what is going on concerning spiritual warfare that the Bible is not specifying? I'm not trying to offend none of my Bible believers, but I'm telling y'all, there's something very, very wrong. And this is why I say, don't just read the King. Like, I was taught amongst GOCC to only stick to the King James. I think, I think to some degree, nah. I think this is what I think happened. This is my theory and my opinion. I believe King James Charles Stewart was a black man, right? I believe he was doing a good thing, right? And he was trying to set up religious unity, Religious unity, something we don't do today. Religious unity, right? And I think after he was martyred, and I believe his son was martyred as well, I believe the works that they accomplished and the effect that they had, just like Jesus Christ, the effect that they had throughout these regions, they took the works of King James and his followers and they tampered with it, right? They what you call that? What you call that? They infiltrated and they was able to gain control over it and be able to, this is where I began, where the Nevadicans began to, and others began to um, call other records uh, unspiritually inspired by God, right? Also this, I believe they was able to remove certain scriptures and remove certain words, right? I don't just believe the Ethiopian Bible uh, is a great biblical source. I believe there's other biblical sources out there, you guys. I'm honestly believing this, man. I honestly, like when you look at history, right, and the multiple people that has came to be, we have a small fraction of their writings. Do y'all understand that? A small fraction of their writings. And when you go outside the Bible, you read about the 12 patriarchs, right? So you read about Reuben writing a letter to his children and his grandson and his brethren. You read about Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Benjamin, all the patriarchs of the Israelites, right? All of them, if I'm not mistaken, they spoke on their deathbed to their children and their grandchildren and their great great grandchildren, right? The things, and they confessed their sins, things that they did, and they um they they warned them what to stay away from, right? Now you have to go outside. Now check this out. You see the same example in what, Genesis 46, I believe, when Jacob called forth all his children, showing you the tradition, right? And showing you had to go outside of the King James Version Bible to find those details. And they went in more details than Jacob did. Jacob just prophesied, right? But the patriarchs went into details. You see? So this is why I believe collectively all the humble people, all the caring people, all the open-minded people, right, are to come together and think together and share together, right, to figure things out. You know what I'm saying? I believe Hebrew groups, Christian groups, Muslim groups, etc., all of them by default are taking on the same image of the beast, right? And that is to control, the congregation. That's what you see going on, right? You don't see they're allowing you to free think and to share what the Most High put into you. Oh, we good? All right. Thanks for your patience, dude. All right, no, it's good. You good, bro? I'm a patient kind of guy. This is a little angry. Yeah, you're good, bro. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to go with Jarrell in the office, sign the paperwork. All right. All right, I'm out. Yeah. All right, y'all. I gotta bow out. I'm bow out. To be continued. I'm not done yet. And we're gonna continue talking about this spiritual warfare. Shalom.